car dealership manager kicks out Keanu Reeves, unaware he is the new owner. Keanu stood there, his calm demeanor unshaken, but the tension in the air was palpable. Zara's dismissive attitude had crossed a line, and he was determined to see how far this would go. He glanced around the showroom once more, his eyes lingering on the sleek silver coupe he'd admired earlier. The reflection of the overhead lights danced on its polished surface, and for a moment, he allowed himself to imagine driving it down the open highway, the wind rushing past him as the miles stretched endlessly ahead. But this wasn't about the car anymore. It was about something much bigger. Zara cleared her throat, snapping him back to the present. "As I said," she began, her tone now laced with thinly veiled impatience, "the owner isn't available. If you'd like to leave your contact information, I can pass it along, but I can't promise anything." Keanu tilted his head, a faint smile playing on his lips. "That's a shame. I was hoping to have a conversation with them today. You see, I have some ideas about how this place could be run differently." Zara's eyes narrowed, her curiosity piqued despite herself. "And what kind of ideas would those be?" Keanu shrugged casually, his hands still in his pockets. "Oh, just a few thoughts on customer service, respect, and maybe a little thing called integrity. You know, the kind of values that make a business truly stand out." Zara's lips pressed into a thin line, her patience clearly wearing thin. "Listen, Miss Reeves," Keanu supplied smoothly. Keanu Reeves. The name seemed to hang in the air for a moment, and Zara blinked, her expression faltering. She opened her mouth to respond, but no words came out. Keanu watched as the realization slowly dawned on her, her face paling slightly. The clipboard in her hands trembled ever so slightly. "Wait," she stammered, her voice barely above a whisper. You're the new owner?" Keanu gave a small nod, his expression still calm but now tinged with a hint of amusement. "That's right. I thought it might be interesting to see how things operate when no one knows the boss is around, and I have to say, it's been enlightening." Zara's composure shattered completely. She took a step back, her polished heels clicking sharply against the floor. "Mr. Reeves, I had no idea. I'm so sorry. If I had known." Keanu held up a hand, cutting her off gently. "No need to apologize. I wanted to see how things really are here, and now I have. But let's talk about what happens next." The other employees had stopped their conversations, their attention now fully focused on the scene unfolding before them. The showroom, once filled with the hum of casual chatter, was now eerily silent. Keanu turned to address the room, his voice calm but carrying an undeniable weight. "I bought this dealership because I believe in what it could be, a place where people are treated with respect no matter who they are or how they're dressed. A place where integrity isn't just a buzzword, but a way of doing business. What I saw today, well, let's just say there's room for improvement." Zara looked down, her face flushed with embarrassment. "Mr. Reeves, I don't know what to say." Keanu stepped closer, his tone softening. "You don't have to say anything right now, but I want you to think about this moment. Think about how you treated someone you didn't think was worthy of your time. And then think about how you can do better. Because that's what this place is going to be about. Doing better." He turned to the rest of the staff, his gaze sweeping across the room. "That goes for all of you. I'm not here to fire anyone or make sweeping changes out of spite. I'm here to give this place a fresh start, but it's up to you to decide if you want to be part of that." The silence stretched on for a moment before one of the younger employees, a man in his mid-20s named Jake, stepped forward. "Mr. Reeves, I think I speak for everyone when I say we want to be part of that. We want to do better." Keanu nodded, a small smile forming on his lips. "Good, that's the kind of attitude I'm looking for. But words are easy, it's actions that matter. Starting today, we're going to rebuild this place from the ground up, and it starts with how we treat each other and our customers." He paused, letting his words sink in. The room was still tense, but there was a glimmer of hope in the air. Keanu walked over to the silver coupe, running his hand along its smooth surface. "This car," he said, "isn't just a piece of metal and leather. It's a dream for someone, a symbol of hard work and achievement, and everyone who walks through those doors deserves to feel that dream is within reach, no matter who they are." Zara, still visibly shaken, took a deep breath. "Mr. Reeves, I want to be part of this change. I know I messed up, but I'm willing to learn, to do better. Keanu turned to her, his expression thoughtful. I believe you, but it's not just about saying the right things. It's about proving it every single day. Starting now. He glanced at his watch. It's 3:15 p.m., let's call it a day. Go home, think about what I've said, and come back tomorrow, ready to make this place what it should be. I'll be here early, and I expect the same from all of you. As the employees began to gather their things, Keanu lingered by the coupe, his mind already racing with plans for the future. He knew this wouldn't be easy, but he also knew it was worth it, because at the end of the day it wasn't just about cars. It was about people, and that was something worth fighting for. The next morning, the dealership buzzed with a new energy. Employees arrived early, their attitudes noticeably different. Zara, dressed in a sharp blazer and a determined expression, greeted Keanu with a firm handshake. Mr. Reeves, I've been thinking about what you said. I'd like to lead a training session on customer service, if that's all right with you. Keanu smiled. That's exactly the kind of initiative I'm looking for. Let's make it happen. As the days turned into weeks, the dealership transformed. Customers noticed the change, and word spread quickly. Keanu's vision was becoming a reality. One interaction, one car, and one dream at a time. And as he stood in the showroom watching his team work together with pride and purpose, he knew he'd made the right decision. This wasn't just a dealership anymore. It was a family. And it was just the beginning. Keanu nodded, a small smile tugging at the corners of his mouth. Good. Then let's get to work. As the staff began to disperse, murmurs of conversation filling the air once more, Keanu turned back to Zara. She still looked shaken, but there was a glimmer of determination in her eyes now. Mr. Reeves, she began, her voice steadying, I want to apologize again. And I want you to know that I'll do whatever it takes to make this right. Keanu studied her for a moment before nodding. I believe you. And I'm counting on you to help lead the way. But remember, it's not about me, it's about the people who walk through those doors every day. They deserve the same respect and attention, no matter what. Zara nodded, her resolve firming. Understood. Keanu glanced at his watch, then back at the silver coupe. Now, if you don't mind, I think I'll take that car for a test drive. It's been a long day, and I could use a little fresh air. Zara managed a small smile, her demeanor shifting to one of professionalism. Of course, Mr. Reeves. I'll have the keys ready for you right away. As she hurried off to retrieve the keys, Keanu took a deep breath, the weight of the day settling on his shoulders. It had been a long time since he'd felt this kind of responsibility, but he was ready for it. This wasn't just about cars or business, it was about people. And if he could make even a small difference here, it would all be worth it. The sun was beginning to set as Keanu slid into the driver's seat of the silver coupe, the engine purring to life beneath him. He glanced at the dealership one last time before pulling out of the parking lot, the city lights of Luminara stretching out before him. The road ahead was uncertain, but for the first time in a long time, he felt like he was exactly where he was meant to be. Keanu's words lingered in the air, heavy with purpose. The room was silent, the weight of his message sinking into every employee present. Zara, still seated near the back, felt the sting of his words more than anyone. Her mind raced, replaying the earlier interaction, and she couldn't help but feel a knot of guilt tightening in her chest. She had been so quick to judge, so quick to dismiss him, and now she was sitting in a room where her new boss, someone she had underestimated, was calling for a complete cultural shift. Keanu leaned forward, resting his hands on the polished conference table. His calm demeanor was almost unnerving, given the gravity of the situation. I'm not here to punish anyone, he said, his voice softening just enough to ease some of the tension. I'm here to make sure we do better, every single one of us, including me. He paused, glancing around the room, making eye contact with as many people as he could. This isn't about pointing fingers, it's about accountability. It's about understanding that the way we treat people, whether they're customers, coworkers, or strangers, says everything about who we are as a team, and right now I think we can do better. Lysander, still standing near the door, cleared his throat. Mr. Reeves is right, he said, his voice carrying the authority of someone who had been in the business for decades. We've built this dealership on a reputation of excellence. But excellence isn't just about the cars we sell or the numbers we hit. It's about the people. It's about the experience we create. And if we're not treating everyone who walks through those doors with the same level of respect, then we're failing. Keanu nodded in agreement. Starting today, we're going to make some changes. First, we're going to implement mandatory training on unconscious bias and customer service. Every employee, from sales to service to management, will participate. Second, we're going to establish a clear code of conduct that emphasizes respect, inclusivity, and fairness. And third, he said, his tone firm but not unkind, we're going to hold each other accountable. If you see something that doesn't align with these values, speak up. This is a team effort. The room was quiet, but the energy had shifted. Some employees nodded in agreement, while others exchanged glances, processing the weight of Keanu's words. Trix, the young sales associate who had spoken earlier, raised his hand again. Keanu gestured for him to go ahead. Mr. Reeves, Trix began, his voice steadier this time, I think this is a really important conversation. But how do we make sure this isn't just a one-time thing? How do we keep this momentum going? Keanu smiled, a genuine warmth breaking through his serious expression. That's a great question, Trix. The truth is, change doesn't happen overnight. It's going to take consistent effort from all of us. We're going to have regular check-ins, anonymous feedback channels, and opportunities for everyone to share their thoughts and ideas. This isn't just about me telling you what to do. It's about us working together to create a culture we can all be proud of. Zara, who had been silent throughout the meeting, finally found her voice. Mr. Reeves, she said, her tone hesitant but sincere, I want to apologize. I was out of line earlier, and I realize now how wrong I was. I'm committed to doing better, not just for the dealership, but for myself. Keanu's gaze softened as he looked at her. Thank you, Zara. Apologies aren't easy, and I respect that. What matters now is what you do moving forward. We all make mistakes, but it's how we learn from them that defines us. As the meeting concluded, the employees began to file out of the room, their conversations now filled with a sense of purpose. Keanu stayed behind, gathering his notes and taking a moment to reflect. He knew this was just the beginning, but it was a step in the right direction. Meanwhile, Zara lingered near the door, her mind still processing everything that had been said. She felt a mix of emotions, guilt, determination, and a newfound sense of responsibility. As she turned to leave, she noticed Lysander approaching her. Zara, he said, his tone gentle but firm, I know today was tough, but I believe in you. We all do. This is a chance for all of us to grow, and I think you're going to rise to the occasion. Zara nodded, a small smile forming on her lips. Thank you, Lysander. I won't let you down. As she walked out of the dealership, the cool evening air greeted her, carrying with it a sense of renewal. The city lights of Luminara sparkled in the distance, and for the first time in a long time, Zara felt a glimmer of hope. She knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy, but she was ready to face it head-on. Back at the dealership, Keanu stood by the window, watching the city come alive as night fell. He took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the day slowly lift. The challenges ahead were significant, but he was confident in his team. Together, they would create something truly special. A place where respect, integrity, and excellence were not just words, but a way of life. And as he turned away from the window, ready to face whatever came next, Keanu couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. This was more than just a job, it was a mission, and he was ready to see it through. The room seemed to exhale collectively, the tension easing as Keanu's words resonated with everyone present. Lysander stepped forward, clapping his hands together. All right, team. Let's take this as an opportunity to grow. We've got work to do, and I'm confident we can rise to the occasion. As the meeting adjourned, employees began filing out of the conference room, their conversations a mix of reflection and determination. Keanu stayed behind, speaking quietly with Lysander about next steps. Zara lingered near the door, her clipboard still clutched tightly. She took a deep breath, steeling herself, and approached Keanu. Mr. Reeves, she said, her voice steady this time, I know I have a lot to learn, but I'm ready to put in the work. If there's anything I can do to help with these changes, please let me know. Keanu smiled, a hint of pride in his expression. I appreciate that, Zara. Change starts with accountability, and you've already taken the first step. Let's see where we can go from here. As Zara walked out of the conference room, she felt a strange mix of emotions: relief, determination, and a newfound sense of purpose. The dealership, once a place where she had felt confident and in control, now felt like a blank slate, full of possibilities. And for the first time in a long time, she was excited to be a part of it. Meanwhile, Keanu stood by the window, watching the employees disperse. Lysander joined him, folding his arms as he gazed out at the showroom floor. "You handled that well," Lysander said. "It's not easy to walk into a new role and shake things up like this." Keanu chuckled softly. "Change is never easy, but it's necessary. This place has potential, and I want to see it thrive. Not just in sales, but in the way we treat people." Lysander nodded, a thoughtful expression on his face. "You've got a good vision, Keanu. I think this team is ready to follow your lead." As the sun streamed through the windows, casting a warm glow over the dealership, Keanu felt a sense of optimism. The road ahead wouldn't be without its challenges, but he was ready to face them, one step at a time. Later that evening, Keanu sat in his office, reviewing notes from the meeting. The echoes of the day's conversations lingered in his mind. He knew change wouldn't happen overnight, but today had been a crucial first step. The dealership had operated on autopilot for too long, shaped by habits and unchecked biases. If they were truly going to lead by example, it had to start with real action, not just words. He leaned back in his chair, exhaling slowly as he glanced at his laptop screen. A training outline for the staff was taking shape, but something told him that a broader cultural shift required more than just new policies. It required personal commitment from every team member. The next morning, Keanu arrived at the dealership early. He made his way to the showroom, nodding to a few employees already preparing for the day. Zara was among them. She was reviewing paperwork, but her posture had changed. She looked more focused, more present. When she noticed Keanu approaching, she straightened. "Morning, Mr. Reeves," she greeted him, her voice still carrying a trace of hesitation. "Morning, Zara. How are you feeling today?" She hesitated before answering. "Determined," she said finally. "I want to make things right." Keanu studied her for a moment and then nodded. "Good, because I meant what I said about second chances. Let's make sure this one counts." As the day progressed, small but noticeable changes began to emerge. The interactions between the staff and customers seemed more intentional, more genuine. There was a new energy in the air, as if people were starting to understand that their work was about more than just closing deals. It was about fostering trust. A few days later, Keanu and Lysander gathered the employees for the first official training session. The room was filled with quiet anticipation. Keanu stood at the front, his presence commanding attention but not demanding it. "Before we begin," he said, "I want to acknowledge something. Change is uncomfortable. It forces us to confront things we'd rather not. But growth doesn't happen without discomfort. If we want to build something great, we have to be willing to learn and unlearn. And that starts today." He gestured toward a large screen behind him, where a slide read, "Respect, the foundation of excellence." For the next hour, Keanu and Lysander guided the team through discussions about unconscious bias, customer service ethics, and the long-term value of trust. They shared real-world examples, encouraging employees to share their own experiences. At first, the conversations were hesitant, but as the session continued, people began to open up. One of the sales associates, a man in his late 30s named Marcus, raised his hand. "I've been here for over a decade," he said, "and I'll admit, I've always just focused on hitting my numbers. But hearing this today, it makes me realize I've been missing the bigger picture. It's not just about selling cars. It's about building relationships." Keanu nodded, his expression thoughtful. "That's exactly it, Marcus. When we prioritize respect and trust, the numbers will follow, but it has to start with the mindset." Zara, sitting near the back, felt a surge of inspiration. She raised her hand tentatively. "I think one of the biggest challenges is breaking old habits. Like sometimes we don't even realize we're being dismissive or impatient with customers. How do we change that?" Lysander stepped in, his tone encouraging. "Awareness is the first step, Zara. It's about slowing down, being present, and actively listening. It's not easy, but with practice, it becomes second nature." As the session wrapped up, Keanu addressed the group one last time. This is just the beginning. We're going to have more sessions like this, and I want you all to hold each other accountable. Change isn't just my responsibility, it's ours. Together, we can make this dealership a place we're all proud to be a part of. The employees filed out of the room, their conversations buzzing with newfound energy. Zara lingered again, this time with a small smile on her face. She approached Keanu, who was packing up his notes. "Thank you," she said simply, "for giving us a chance to be better." Keanu looked at her, his expression warm. "Thank you for being willing to grow, Zara. That's what this is all about." As the days turned into weeks, the dealership began to transform. Customers noticed the difference, often commenting on the welcoming atmosphere and the genuine care they felt from the staff. Sales numbers started to climb, but more importantly, the team felt more connected, more aligned with a shared purpose. Keanu knew there was still work to be done, but as he stood in the showroom one evening, watching the sunset cast a golden glow over the cars, he felt a deep sense of satisfaction. They were on the right path, and the best was yet to come. Zara, in particular, surprised Keanu. When given the opportunity, she shared a personal story about a time she had been unfairly judged in a different workplace. "I should have remembered that feeling," she admitted. "No one deserves to be dismissed before they're even given a chance. I don't want to be that kind of leader. I want to do better." There was a quiet murmur of agreement in the room. Keanu saw the way her words resonated with the others, and he knew this was exactly what needed to happen. Real conversations leading to real growth. As the training wrapped up, Keanu addressed the group once more. "This isn't a one-time thing. We'll continue having these discussions. We'll continue growing. If any of you ever have concerns, my door is open. Let's make this place something we're proud of." The staff left the meeting with a newfound sense of purpose. Later that afternoon, Keanu observed another small but significant moment, one that told him real change was taking root. A customer, an elderly man with a hesitant gait, entered the dealership. In the past, he might have been overlooked in favor of younger, seemingly more promising buyers. But today, one of the newer salespeople, Rachel, immediately stepped forward, offering a warm greeting and genuine assistance. Keanu caught Zara watching the interaction. She met his gaze and nodded slightly. He returned the nod, a silent acknowledgement that they were moving in the right direction. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long golden shadows across the lot, Keanu stood by the showroom window, watching the day's final customers depart. He knew there was still work to be done, but for the first time in a long time, he felt that Elysian Autos was on the path to becoming something truly special. Change had begun, and this was just the beginning.